I'm really thrilled and honored to be here introducing Patricia Smith. I see her work as being at the confluence of two great rivers of poetry. One of them, the people's poetry of the Americas, that includes writers like Walt Whitman and Pablo Neruda, and another writer like Patricia who has Chicago roots, Carl Sandburg. And then the river of African American poetry with Paul Laurence Dunbar and the writers of the Harlem Renaissance and the Black Arts Movement, and all of those influences merging in her work. Her collection of poetry, Blood Dazzler, is to me the most probing and lasting literary work to come out of Hurricane Katrina. It was a finalist for the National Book Award. Just last week, she received the Lenore Marshall Poetry Prize from the Academy of American Poets for her most recent book, Should Have Been Jimmy Savannah, which tells the epic of her parents' migration from the rural South to the urban North. And it's really a story of our whole country, in a way, through those two characters. We don't, unfortunately, have her books here tonight, but you can order her books on her website, which is www.wordwoman.ws, and she can send them to you signed if you like. Patricia Smith is equally renowned as a reciter of her poetry. She's 4 times won the National Poetry Slam, more times than any other poet. And what I find so compelling in her poetry is her ability to stretch language almost to its breaking point, to tell truths. She tells political truths that she bravely names, and personal truths that she bravely claims. Please welcome Patricia Smith.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Catamaran, for this. I'm very honored to be here. I'd like to thank the Sierra Nevada College, where I'm a visiting professor this year. Otherwise, I would be in Jersey right now. It was a lot easier for me to get here from Lake Tahoe. I start all of my readings off with the same poem. I've been doing that for years and years. At one point, I thought, everyone who is going to hear this poem has heard it, so why don't I do something else? And I had to ask myself what it was about the poem, and it really roots me. I had gone, years and years ago, gone to Miami to teach a group of 6th graders in an area that had a high incidence of drug use. So a lot of the kids had lost parents or brothers or sisters to AIDS. And I came bounding in. It was one of my first experiences teaching. I said, I'm here to teach you poetry. And they're all looking at me like, oh, okay, how are we going to make our lives better? And there was a little girl there named Nicole whose mother had died the week before, and she was already back in school. And she wanted me to help her write a poem about her mother. So I think I do this poem because it reminds me of the power that language has to move us from one place in our head to a safer place, which is what she was asking me to help her do. So this is dedicated to the 6th grade class at Lily, I've been doing this for like 20 years almost. 6th grade class at Lily Sam's Elementary School in Dade County, Miami, which they made me promise to say every time I did the poem. They're like married now, I'm still doing it. I am astonished at their mouthful names. Lacanicia, Chevalane, DeLeo, Fumaleo. Their ragged rebellions and lip gloss pouts and all those pants drooped as drapery. I rejoice when they kiss my face, whisper wet and urgent in my ear, make me their obsession because I have brought them poetry. They shout me raw, bruise my wrist with their pulling, and brashly claim me as mama as they cradle my head in their little laps, waiting for new words to grow in my mouth. You. Angry, jubilant, weeping poets, we are all saviors, reluctant hosannas in the limelight. But you knew that, didn't you? So let us bless this 6th grade class. 40 cracking voices, 40 nappy heads, and all of them raise their hands when I ask. They have all seen the Reaper, grim in his heavy robe, pushing the button for the Dead Project elevator, begging for a break at the corner pawn shop, cackling wildly in the back pew of the Baptist church. I ask the death question, and 40 fist punch the air. Me! Me! An O'Neill matchstick crack child watched his mother's body become a claw. And 9-year-old Tico Jefferson, barely big enough to lift the gun, fired a bullet into his throat when Mama bended his back with a lead pipe. Tamika cried into a sofa pillow when Daddy blasted Mama into the north wall of their cluttered one-room apartment. Danya's cousin, gone in a drive-by. Dark window. Click, click, click. Gone, says Danya. Her tiny finger a barrel, the thumb a hammer. I am astonished at their losses. And yet when I read a poem about my own hard-eyed teenager, Jeffrey asks, "Is he dead yet?" Cannot be comprehended. My 18-year-old still pushing and pulling his own breath. And 40 faces pity me, knowing that I will soon be as they are, numb to our bloodied histories, favoring the reaper with a thumbs up and a wink, hearing the question and shouting, Me, Miss Smith, I know somebody dead." Can poetry hurt us, they ask me, before crawling into my words to sleep. I love you, Nicole says. Nicole wearing my face, pimples peppering her nose, and she is as black as angels are. Nicole's braids kissed with match flame to seal them. And can you teach me to write a poem about my mama, Miss Smith? I mean, you write about your daddy, and he's dead. Can you teach me to remember my mama? A teacher tells me this is the first time Nicole has admitted that her mother is gone. Murdered by slim silver needles and a stranger rifling through her blood, the virus pushing her skeleton through for Nicole to see. And now this child with rusty knees and mismatched shoes sees poetry as her scream and asks me for the words to build her mother again, replacing the voice, stitching on the lost flesh. So poets, as we take the stage, as we flirt and sin and rejoice behind microphones, remember Nicole. She knows that we are here now, and she is an empty vessel waiting to be filled. And she is waiting. And she's waiting. And she waits. I did a reading not too long ago at Hugo House in Seattle, and what they did is they gave me a theme, and they gave me like 6 months to write a whole new set of poems on this theme. And it was strong female leads, which sounds easy, female leads in movies and literature, whatever, but it had to be a strong female lead who did not carry a weapon. And then I thought, how many people, how many women are this? That's stupid. It's just like Wonder Woman. She's got a weapon. Okay, so it was very interesting. So, how many people watch The Honeymooners? All right. So, Honeymooners, Okay, so this is Alice Cramden, who is one of the strongest females. I was crafted, it would seem, to squeal demurely beneath his shifting flab, to pucker my carnation lips on cue, to ladle gobs of twice-boiled vegetables and stringy slabs of meat into his grumbling yap. It would seem that way. After all, the whole of my body is apron. I am always holding that scorched pot, a bleached towel, a gray sopping sponge, an iron, his huge hot folded trousers, a mop, a crusted dish, a broom. I am always expertly positioned near the door of this tenement hovel that's not much more than this single room, my eyes propped wide and feigning joy, poised to drip sugar around his blustering evening entrance. The air is decorated with the words, control, control, while chunks of stunned water grow stale in the belly of the icebox. I am 1950s faultless, my pert strawberry crown primly ponied. I never wore a dress that wasn't a tribute to him. I'm sure you don't believe I stood still and perfectly upright for my wedding vows. Drowning in mama's wilting taffeta, I was a belle. I do, I do, I do, and I did. With God and a room of powders as witness, I committed to a post-war, eerily patient love. Next to me, panting under snug collar, he was splotched scarlet, a flowered tonic dripping from his curls. I could have crashed his stunned smile with a finger. Someone said, God. Then someone said, wife. And I was so clarified I sparkled. I was my own headspring of light. I arced toward the domestic promise, wiggling in flaccid fingers. I did not hear the word fist. I was anxious to build romance, and I did. My lips found the folds that water couldn't reach. I gave him the name of a wall. The first morning we rose from our separate untumbled beds, our night skins pimpled and flushed with the prospect of touch, was the first time he hefted his fist and threatened to send me, Alice, to the moon, as if the moon was a definite, something we could not only conjure but find faith in. For years since then, he has hefted that fist. It has brushed past my unblinking eye, my chin, my clenched jaw, while the moon, uninterested, is the same blaring yellow kink in our sleep. Screeching his blind intent, to the moon, Alice, to the moon! His eyes Google, the lifted fist quivers, the spittle of his day needles my cheeks. One of these days, Alice, one of these days, bang, zoom! Without speaking, I show him who he truly is. I call stupid out where stupid is. I'm mute while he spouts another craving wide enough to fall through. Our tiled floor is littered with schemes, his punctured zeal. I'm gonna get a better job. Got a new idea. We'll be swimming in dough. Gonna take you out jitterbugging, baby. Buy you a dress. Gonna turn up our noses to the hoi polloi. I'm a champ at suffering his relentless inventions, concoctions of spit and wood utterly guaranteed to drown us in new money. What he can't say, baby, there's got to be something better than that bus, the smolder, the street disappearing beneath me. I know he aches to give the slip to the same stream of the same folded-faced New Yorkers, all snarling and stank with factory, nodding him their dead howdy-doos and clutching just enough change to move themselves forward. It's the cage of the ride, baby, every day, like every week, like every month, like every year, and the wheels on the bus go round and round. And when he finally makes it home, to door, to box, to wife, he bursts in, sputtering some fresh grail, bound to clatter and rise, and I am gingham and smelling of spray starch, my whole day beneath my nails. I am twang and the wide eye. Really, Ralph? Really? I hold my breath, cramming his crave with stew meat and ice water, until it all comes exploding down, until he can't turn his bulk in any direction without reaching a corner, until he realizes yet again that his best friend stinks of sewage, and for reasons we pretend to have forgotten, I am never, ever naked. And yes, I know what my practiced smirk practically begs him to do. Pow! Right in the kisser! But that sweaty mitt hovering high with such sad engine behind it will never fall. Every woman is damned with a man to raise, a swaggering snarl of belly and bicep, and every ounce of the one I've been given cracks dulcet beneath my hell tongue. I allow the world its brash burning through him. Because after each ritual resurrection, after he has fallen and I have lifted him, when he yanks loose my apron ties and mutters, baby, you're the greatest, it is still 1955, a time of steam radiators and vows of stiff lyric. And he is everything a man can be just then. I am wife. I am what the fist craves. I am the fist. I should read my other mad poem. Okay, this is the other one of the other strong women, and my husband's hilarious when he's at readings of mine. He'll sit in the back row, and if he feels like I'm going in the wrong direction, he starts holding up names of poems like. So the last time I was to read this one, he said, okay, you can read that one, but you have to read something funny after that. And I said, well, why do I have to read something funny? He said, so they don't just think you're another angry black woman. And I'm like, if I'm black and angry, that's exactly what I am. Anyway, I'm not angry at you all when I read this. I'm angry at the specific people in this piece, so don't, okay? Don't be on Facebook calling me out and stuff. Okay, so what this is if you watch Tom and Jerry cartoons? Yeah. If you watch enough Tom and Jerry cartoons, you will see the bottom half of a black woman just knees down to the floor. Well, they showed her face one time. But I was fascinated by her, so I thought, well, she's strong, let's check her out. So there's a website dedicated to her. So her name, they couldn't give her a regular name. It's like not Megan or Nicole or something, right? Her name is Mammy Two Shoes. I know, y'all mad too? Okay. So that's her name. And she has a website dedicated to her. Every instance of her legs appearing in the cartoon is on the scene. So I'm like, okay. And Tom is her cat. The mistress of the house gave Tom as a gift, thank you so much, to her. So when she's talking to Tom, that's her cat. All right, so that's all you need to know for this poem. This is called Mammy Two Shoes, rightful owner of Tom, addresses the lady of the house. Keep in mind, I'm just mad at things. All right. I am charming double negative, an overwrought belly of dirty window. I carry the syrupy burden of your love in my yawning breaches of body. When I laugh, a sound riding like a knotted oil on each breath I draw, I spread my lips wide so you can see that my canines are obediently filed flat. My bite, without an evident engine, is of no threat to you, no matter how much I'm drawn to the lily-spiced bouquet of your throat. I stammer, spurt spittle, and rewind, coaxing submerged venom past what I'm sure you have forgotten is an African tongue. I have mastered the Google eye, managed vex and fluster when confronted with your dry idioms and piquant nouns. See how I throw up chubby, buttered hands in defeat, awaiting your bemused but kind correction? If I expect my wooden bed beside the porch and the slithery scraps you barely remember not to throw away, then you expect this of me. I am your beloved other, a sexless stovetop stinking of cinnamon, but I am impossibly unlit, such black whale that once the sun sinks, my voice rides the air alone, so black that you've considered bolting my ghost to the floor of the kitchen so that you can find me in the morning. I'm only simple-minded, on cue. I've stood in the wet dark of the pantry, weeping, twisting the blaring light from my fist to keep from striking you. I've plunged chunks of bread into warm bacon grease and crammed my mouth away from exploding. You need to believe that yes is the all of my language, that I am conjured of comic bulbous gaze and the head droop, forever on the verge of a grand gospel weep. I want you to believe that I believe that a merciful God laid me at your feet. There are days I feel heart from my knees to the tile, calves thick like the trunks of trees kissed by the scallop hem of a daisied apron. My chapped heels overflow my shoes. Thank you. I never have to lift my feet from this floor. It's best if I walk as if I were being dragged, which is so much easier on the soul. Did I remember to bless you for blessing me, missus, with that tomcat, skanked and feral, flea-bitten, steady out of his head with motivation and mange? Did I ever thank you for pushing a cat into the space where any other woman's own child would be? You gave me a look down, a relationship with the floor, permission to wag a flabby finger at something, a little push-pull kingdom to rule, an official reason to flap my gums and call on Jesus for help. I say, Tom, are you in that icebox? You better start praying. I said, Lord Thomas, is that a mouse? And just like that, I'm up on a chair, all a jiggle, a chair destined to collapse under my monstrous weight, eyes wide like they've been slapped from behind. In 20 years, you've given me pussy and vermin, the same way you gave me your children, your squirming, babbling, corn silk-crowned boys, who started their lives by scarring my breast with blunt new teeth, who have mounted my body and ridden every tired surface that would hold them. Their fingers gloppied with jelly and snot, they have pried beneath my head rag for the mystery of my hair. They have scraped my forearm and cheek raw and looked for black to be that something alive beneath their fingernails. And yes, they've slowly gone stupid with the sugar, lard, and mouse droppings I shovel into their bowls, then into their mouths. And I smile. I slip a razor into the space between my teeth and the wet wall of my cheek, and I smile. At night, after I have thanked God for the each of you, I never sleep. Like a soldier, I shuffle along the floorboards, the cat licking my heels, that damned mouse skittering blue notes beneath the stove. When I tire, I'm careful not to swallow. I stand outside your door, listening to the capture and unlatch of your breath. I move the blade to my resting tongue. Again, I moan, yes. And God says, don't. Okay, and as I can hear my husband all the way from Jersey, here's something funny. Something funny in general. Okay, one of my favorite black men in the world, my favorite segment of the population are old black men, because you can't get over anything on old black men. They've done everything already. So it's like, the internet, we had the internet, what was it, Charlie, back there in 42? And then when you listen to them, you go, oh yeah, they did have the internet, wow. So one of my favorite old black men is John Lee Hooker, blues musician. Okay, don't play, y'all know John Lee, right? Okay. So John Lee was about this tall, wore a Stetson hat, just evil for no reason, and big sunglasses, and just talk like this, you know, and you just like, get out of his way. So this is called How to Be a Lecherous Little Old Black Man and Make Lots of Money. First, you got to get the blues. This is easy if you are a person of any gender and possess a pulse, a cheating lover, a stalking ex-lover, a used Yugo, a pumping heart, an empty wallet, a half-dead dog, an empty refrigerator, one last cigarette butt, a good memory, a nosy mama, a lonely room, a quick trigger, roving eyes, an addiction to whiskey, nothing but the clothes on your back, a Jones for your neighbor's wife, a Jones for your wife's neighbor, a positive test result, an itching to leave, an itching to stay, or any itching where there shouldn't be one. Rub your hands slow over your body, feel the valleys and the wrongs. Let misery chomp your spine toward collapsing. Let it fold your whole self double, then you can walk like John Lee Hooker do. Click shuffle, bent over nose to the ground, wearing a cocked brim felt fedora that wouldn't dare fall off. Then you can think like John Lee do. I'm old as Victrola. I gotta buy a bottle of Mrs. Butterworth if I want to feel a woman. But I can still sing better than you. I have 2 short poems, and then I have a sonnet crown. Can I do that? Okay. So this is, that was an absolutely, I'm sorry, I'm gonna curse now, kick-ass sestina. That was really, yeah, that was the bomb. So I'm not reading mine. I just thought about that. It's like, then why would I read sestina? Actually, I don't think I will. I'll just read another one. Yeah. This is from Blood Dazzler. This is a book of poems about Hurricane Katrina. And I'm going to read one poem in Katrina's voice. Katrina is personified in the book, so you get to hear how she feels as she's approaching land, and she's alternately remorseful and vengeful and regretful, you know. So there are poems into her voice as she is gaining power and going from a Category 5 storm to a hurricane. Okay, so this one I think is the one. I'm sorry. 8 a.m. Sunday, August 28th, 2005. Katrina becomes a Category 5 storm, the highest possible rating. For days, I've been offered blunt slivers of larger promises. Even flesh, my sweet recurring dream, has been tantalizingly dangled before me. I have crammed my mouth with buildings, brushed aside skimpy altars, snapped shut windows to bright shatter with my fingers, and I've warned them soft. You must not know my name. Could there be other weather, other divas stalking the cringing country with insistent eye? Could there be other rain laced with the slick flick of electric and my own pissed boom? Or could this be it, finally? My praise day, all my fists at once. Now officially a bitch, I'm confounded by words. All I've ever been is starving, fluid, and noise. So I huff a huge sulk, thrust out my chest, and open wide my solo swallowing eye. You must not know. Scarlet glare fixed on the trembling crescent. I fly. Thank you very much. And because it was, when you're writing a book like this, you usually balance, when you're putting together any poetry book, you guys know, long poems, short poems, funny poems, serious poems, but you're writing about something like Katrina, there aren't many light moments that you can get in. There's no light moments you get in the book. So at the end of it, I thought, okay, if I'm personifying Katrina, that means she has a family. So the logical place to go for the family were the other hurricanes of 2005. So, and as you know, it's A to Z, and they, every 5 years the list reoccurs unless there's been a certain amount of damage and destructions, and they retire the name, so there will never be another Hurricane Katrina. But these were the other hurricanes of 2005. This was a dance theater production, and at this point all the lights went out and there was a mirror ball that came on and this really hot house music came on. And we said, ladies and gentlemen, presenting the hurricanes of 2000. And they came out dancing. It was great. Arlene learned to dance backwards in heels that were too high. Brett prayed for a shaggy mustache made of mud and hair. Cindy just couldn't keep her windy legs together. Dennis never learned to swim. Emily whispered her gust into 1,000 skins. Franklin, farsighted and anxious, bumbled villagers. Gert spat her matronly name against the city's flat face. Harvey hurled a wailing child, hi, Irene, the baby girl, through wild tantrums. Jose liked the whip sound of slapping, and Lee just craved the whip. Maria's thunderskirts flew high when she danced. Nate was mannered and practical. He stormed precisely. Ophelia nibbled weirdly on the tips of depressions. Felipe slept too late, flailing on a wronged ocean, and Rita was a vicious flirt. She woke Felipe with rumors. Stan was born business, a gobbler of steel. Tammy crooned country, getting the words all wrong. Vince died before anyone could remember his name. Wilma opened her maw wide, flashing rot. Nobody talked about Katrina. She was their odd sister, the blood dazzler. It's just like I was trying to think of what do I really feel like reading tonight, and that was the thing. So, but if you say, shut up, sit down, go away, do that too. That's so cute. All right. So, is everybody okay? Everybody comfortable? All right. This may seem like it's gonna go on forever, but it won't. This book started out to be. I mean, it wound up being a chronicle of my parents coming up from the South and my own stories about being first generation up north. But it started out to be a book about Motown. I love Motown. And so this is all about being older and then looking back on Motown and realizing that a lot of Motown was smoke and mirrors. You know, it was like all my ideas about life and love and romance were pretty much defined by whatever Motown song was out at the time. So, and that's not a good way to live, as I learned later. So this is a crown of sonnet. So it's the last line of the first sonnet will be the first line of the next sonnet, and that'll be all the way through. And then the last sonnet is comprised of the first lines of all the sonnets. Maybe, kinda. We'll see. All right, get happy for this. The temps all swerve and pidget. Back up. The temps all swerve and pivot, conjured schemes that had us skipping school, made us forget how mama schooled us hard against the threat of 5-part harmony and shark-skin seams. We spent our school days balanced on the beams of moon we wished upon, the needle jet black 45s that spun and hadn't yet become the dizzy spinning of our dreams. Sugar pie, honey bun, oh you loved our tangled hair and rusty knees. Marvin Gaye slowed down while we gave chase, then wowed us with his skinny hips on cue. We hungered for the angriest screech of pleas from soulful throats, relentless and booming bass. From soulful throats, relentless booming bass softened with the turn of Smokey's key. His languid, liquid, luscious, aching plea for bodies we didn't have yet made a case for lying to ourselves. He would embrace our naps and raging pimples. We could see his croon inside our clothes. His pedigree of milky, flawless skin meant we'd replace our daddies with his fine and lanky frame. I did you wrong, my heart went out to play, he serenaded, filling up the space that separated smoke from certain flame. Couldn't comprehend the drug of him, his sway, silk what his throat should be, he growled such grace. Silk what his throat should be, and growling grace, little Stevie made us wonder why we even needed sight. His rhythm eye could see us click our hips and pump in place whenever he cut loose. Ooh, we'd unlace our Converse All-Stars. Yeah, we wondered why we couldn't get down without our shoes. We tried to dance and keep up with his funky pace of hiss and howl and hum, and then he'd slow to twist our hearts until he heard them crack, ignoring lonesome leaking from the seams. The rocking blind boy couldn't help but show us light. We wailed his every soulful track through open window and neath the door, pipe dreams. Through open window, neath the door, pipe dreams served up Bone Buffant, the serpentine, and bug-eyed Lady D, the boisterous queen of overdone, her body built from beams of awkward light. Her slithering extremes just made us feel so small. Insanely lean, everywhere she stepped, she caused a scene. We craved her wigs and waist and crafted schemes that would ensure our hips would soon be thin, that we'd hear symphonies, wouldn't hurry love, 'cause Diana said make sure it gleams no matter what it is. Her different spin, a voice like sugar air, no inkling of a soul beneath the vinyl, the Supremes. That soul beneath the vinyl, the Supremes knew nothing of it. They were breathy sighs and flowing hips, soul music's booby prize. But Mary Wells, so drained of self-esteem, was a pudgy, bar-stool riding, buck-toothed dream, who none of us would dare to idolize out loud. She had our nightmares memorized, and like or like it not, she wailed our theme, while her too blackness made us ill at ease, and we smeared Ultra on to reach for white. When Mary's My Guy blared, we didn't think race, 'cause there was all that romance and the keys that Motown held. Unlocked, we'd soon ignite. We stockpiled extra sequins, just in case. We stockpiled extra sequins just in case the Marvelettes pronounced we'd benefit from little dabs of shine. If we could get inside their swirl, a kind of naughty place, we knew that all the boys would have to brace themselves against our heat, much too legit to dress up as some other thing. We split our blue jeans trying to match their pace. And soon our breasts began to pop. We spoke in bluer tones, and Barry Gordy looked and licked his lips. Our only saving grace? The luscious, liquid, languid tone of smoke, the soundtrack while our 8-cup bras unhooked. Our Sutton Negro hips required more space. Our Sutton Negro hips required more space, but we pretended not to feel that spill that changed the way we walked. And yes, we still felt nappy, awkward, strangely out of place, while Motown crammed our eager hearts with lace and storylines. Romance was all uphill. No push, no prod, no bitter magic pill could lift us to its light, and not a trace of prizes they said we'd already won. As mamas called on Jesus, shook their heads and mourned our Delta names, we didn't deem to care. Religion? There was only one. We took transistor preachers to our beds, and Smokey sang a lyric dripping cream. While Smokey sang a lyric dripping cream, Levi tried to woo us with his growl. I can't help myself, admitted with a scowl. This bit of weakness was a clever scheme to keep us screaming. Front row, under gleam of lights, beside the speakers blasting vowels, we rocked and we steamed. Levi on the prowl glowed black, a savior in the stage light's beam. But then the stage light dimmed, and there we were in bodies primed for what? We didn't know. We sang off key while skipping home alone. Deceptions that you sing to tend to blur and disappear in dance. Why is that so? Ask any colored girl and she will moan. Ask any colored girl and she will moan and answer with a downbeat and a sleek 5-part croon. She's dazzled and she'll shriek what she's been taught. She won't be long alone or crazed with wanting more. One day she'll own that quiet heart that Motown taught to speak. She'll know that being the same makes her unique. She'll worship at the god of microphone until the bass line booms, until some old temptation leers and says, I'll take you home and heal you in the way the music vowed. She's mesmerized, his moves, his tooth of gold. She dances to the drumbeat of his poem, remembering how love had lied so loud. Remembering how love had lied so loud, we tangled in the rhythms that we chose. Seduced by thump and sequins, heaven knows we tried to live our hopeful lives unbowed, but bending led to break. We were so proud to mirror every lyric. Radios spit, beg, and mend, and sturdy stereos told us what we were and weren't allowed. Our daddies sweat in factories while we found other daddies under limelight's glow. Desperate, we begged them to illuminate the glitter lives they said they'd guarantee would save us. But instead, the crippling blow. We whimpered while the downbeat dangled bait. We whimpered while the downbeat dangled bait. We leapt and swallowed all the music said, while Smokey laughed and Marvin fell and bled. Their sitting slapped us hard and slapped us straight, and even then we listened for the great announcement of the drum, for tune to spread, a marvelette to pick up on the thread. But as we know by now, it's much too late to reconsider love or claw our way through all the glow they tossed to slow our roll. What we know now, we should have always known. When Smokey winked at us and whispered, they don't love you like I do, he snapped our soul. We wound up doing the slow drag all alone. They made us do the slow drag all alone. They made us kiss our mirrors and deal with heat and hips we couldn't control. They danced deceit, and we did too, addicted to the drone of revelation and the verses thrown our way. Oh, love will rock your world. The sweet, sweet fairy tale we spin will certainly beat the real thing any day. Oh, yes, we own you now. We sang you pliable and clueless, waiting, waiting. Oh, the dream you'll hug one day, the boy who craves you right out loud in front of everyone. But we told you, we know we did. We preached it with a shrug. Less than perfect love was not allowed. Less than perfect love was not allowed. Temptations begged as if their every sway depended on you coming home to stay. Diana whispered air, aloof and proud, to be the perfect girl beneath a shroud of glitter and a fright she held at bay. And Michael Jackson, flailing in the fray of daddy love, succumbed to every crowd. What would we have done if not for them, wooing us with roses carved of sound and hiding muck we're born to navigate? Little did we know that they condemned us to live so tethered to the ground, while every song they sang told us to wait. Every song they sang told us to wait, and wait we did, our gangly heartbeats stunned and holding place. Already so outgunned, we little girls obeyed, and now it's late, and CDs spinning just intimidate. The songs I'll say, just look at what you've done. You've wished through your whole life, and one by one your trusting sisters realize they don't rate. So now, at 50 plus, I turn around and see the glitter drifting in my wake and mingling with the dirt. My dingy dreams are shoved high on the shelf. They're wrapped and bound so I can't see and contemplate the ache. The temps all swirl and pivot, conjured schemes. The temps all swirl and pivot, conjured schemes, from soulful throats, relentless booming bass, then silk where throat should be. Much growling grace from open window neath the door, pipe dreams that soul beneath the vinyl. The Supremes used to stockpile extra sequins just in case Diana's Negro hips required more space, while Smokey sang a lyric dripping cream. Ask any colored girl and she will moan, remembering how love had lied so loud. I whimpered while the downbeat dangled bait and taught myself to slow dance all alone. Less than perfect love was not allowed, and every song they sang told me to wait.